after a bit of a hiatus here, perfect time to go on a hiatus. Too.
Great time for it too. Let me tell you,
Life,
absolutely nothing is going on in the NBA.
right?
We haven't had a
Life,
play-in tournament. We're not 3 games into the first round. It's fine that we haven't made any predictions.
it's okay. It's fine. And honestly, I feel we can get into it. I feel like for the most part, our predictions we'd probably only have one wrong, at least from. At least for where we're at the moment. But either way, we are back. NBA playoff is in full swing. Just to catch everybody up as to like where we're recording this podcast and where everybody is in terms of the NBA while we record this podcast. We have OKC versus the Suns. OKC's leading 2-0. We got Lakers versus Rockets. Lakers lead 3-0, which maybe would be where one of our surprises are. Nuggets versus Timberwolves. The Timberwolves lead 2-1, which has been a really good series, and the Nuggets are looking a little vulnerable. Spurs Blazers. The Blazers actually having a win surprised me, and maybe that's some slander, but Spurs lead at 2-1. Pistons and Magic have a tied series. Cavs and Raptors, Cleveland leads 2-1. Knicks, Hawks lead 2-1. Another one that probably would be a surprise for everybody. And then Celtics, Sixers. Celtics lead that 2-1. And honestly, having one win on the Sixers category feels surprising on our end, just as Sixers fans, but we can talk about that later. We'll start out in the East, at least in terms of breaking down the NBA playoffs, but before we do that, do you want to pop back one step and kind of hit play in?
Yeah, we have to, right? Like we got a lot to refresh. And again, obviously, like you said, super ideal time for a vacation. And full disclosure, it was both of us. We got a lot of stuff going on in real life. All good things, of course. Like everything is great. But yeah, it's just, crazy 3 weeks for Justin and I. Not an ideal time NBA wise, but sometimes real life is indeed more important than the podcast. But
man,
but we're happy to be back. Obviously, much more consistently dropping through these playoffs here, but we do want to play catch up a little bit and kind of go through what we've missed. So cue the "What Did I Miss" Drake instrumental in the background, and we'll let's get some playing going. So yeah, we'll start in the East. The Hornets taking down the Heat in the 9-10 matchup. The Magic or the Sixers beating the Magic in the 7-8 matchup. And then, of course, the Magic just running the Hornets out of the gym in the 8-9 matchup. Best one of these 3 games, in my opinion, of course, the Hornets and the Heat game. Really coming down to the wire there. A little bit of controversy. I mean, you guys see Spo get a little more animated about that LaMelo trip on Bam than we usually get. I can't totally blame him for that. The Heat almost hijacking that game at the end. I mean, crazy sequence with Hero making some shots to be able to, put them up one late. LaMelo hitting the layup to, give the Hornets lead for good. Bridges a huge block at the end of the game. What did you think? What do you think with Miami? Are you frustrated if you're Miami? Like, where are you at overall?
I think so. I think if you're Miami, you at least thought, I don't know. Record-wise, obviously they're worse than the Hornets, and I guess from a national perspective, watching the NBA, the Hornets felt like they had more of the momentum, at least from a like Khan type narrative, if that makes sense. You had Khan and LaMelo fighting out the 3-point record for the Hornets and all that stuff. So, I think you're frustrated, yes, if you're the Heat, but also if you're being realistic, what was the ceiling for the team? Like maybe you beat the Hornets and then maybe you beat the Magic and against the Pistons, who knows where it would go, but getting past the first round seems like, if you did that, people would have been hella surprised.
Yeah. And even that was generous.
Yeah, exactly. It's very generous. And, already they're talking about, where should Bam go? What team should look at Bam? And actually the Hornets are one of them that people are talking about that I saw the other day. But to me, the Heat feel like they're in that weird middle ground, right? Where they're good enough to make the play-in or good enough to make a first-round playoff series, but that's kind of the ceiling, and that's where you go from there. And so I don't know if it's like a mini break it down kind of thing, like it is a trade of Bam and get some assets out of it, but it feels like something's got to change. if
No, it's
that makes
definitely
sense.
stagnant. Like, look,
Yeah.
Miami's always going to be well coached when they have Spo. They're
Of
always
course.
going to be able to find guys to get the most out of these guys. But, this team has been, again, it's weird because they made the finals, but that, again, with Jimmy, who's now gone, like, this is you're capped here. It feels like this is a play inbound team no matter what. They certainly give you good flashes, but that's kind of it. And right, when you have somebody like Bam Adebayo who still has a ton of value, um, who's played winning high level basketball before, it feels like maybe you start to look at what you can get for him. Tyler Hero, it feel like too, has always been kind of in this weird space with
Yeah.
it's like, do the Heat want to keep him long term? Do they want to trade him? Like he's always been in the mix. And so I think maybe there's just a little bit of unsettled there, or he's a little unsettled, but right. Like I think it's time for some changes with Miami. Like this
Right.
team doesn't feel like they're anything close to winning a title
Well,
currently, and it
if
feels
we're
like
the
right, a hard reset would do a little better too. And you've got guys like Norman Powell and Wiggins who like you can start to springboard this rebuild a little quicker.
Well, and to that, right? Like the team they were going up against, the Hornets, and maybe this is why I was leaning on that national narrative a little bit more. Like they feel like they have all the momentum. Like they feel like they're in a positive spot going forward with Concanupple, LaMelo, Kobe White, all these guys, Bridges, you could throw them in there too. Like you've got a lot of guys who are pretty young and have a lot of positive vibes around their name going into next season, which is why I think people are like, you go add a Bam, who's clearly the number one guy on the Heat. Maybe you switch him out with a Miles Bridges or something, and like that might take them over the top and get them in like the top 3, 4, 5 in the East. Whereas like you said, you look at the Heat and it's like you got guys that can ball, you got guys that can score, but it's like who's Bam's obviously the number one, but it doesn't feel like he's, what I don't know how to explain it with saying like,
no,
he's
it doesn't feel like Bam
one.
can be the best player on a championship team, and that's what matters.
Right. Exactly. And obviously, with the limited minutes in that last game. So I just, I think if you're the Heat, the vibes are changes need to be made. And really that's where it is.
Yeah, it's time to refresh and start over in Miami. I think there's no doubt about that.
Probably more than most teams in this, except for one other matchup in the West, I would say things need to change.
Yeah, and I mean we'll see how some of these first round series play out. But you're right. Like I think Miami in terms of the other two teams. I mean, because everybody left in the play and in the East, it's interesting. Like the Hornets, I think you're a little because this was obviously the best Hornets season in ages. I mean, probably since Kemba. This core finally took steps. They won meaningful games. I mean, generally for the last 2/3 of the season, they were one of the best offensive teams in the league. Their starting five was super potent. Brandon Miller was healthy for large portions of the season. LaMelo was healthy for large portions of the season. Like these are all questions you've had answers about. Like you mentioned Kobe White. I love the Kobe White move. Like there were a lot of signs. Now I think it slowed down a little towards the end. And part of that is again being there for the first time. Yep. And it is such an interesting because and you have to just try to not remember how it ended with the bitter taste because like look, they got ran out of the gym by Orlando. It's not even like they got beat, like they got smoked by Orlando, which was that was shocking.
The Magic guys showed that they have experience in a playoff atmosphere a little bit more than obviously the Hornets had. Yeah.
Well, the biggest reason that was so surprising to me too is because, anyone who's been around the Magic in the last, and obviously we have a bunch of Magic fans who come on this podcast pretty frequently, like the vibes were terrible around the Magic going at the end of the season. People were asking the Paulo questions, and then you go into that first playing game, that 7-8 matchup, and the Magic pretty soundly get beat by an Embiid-less 76ers team, which it's like, look, the Sixers still have obviously a lot of talent with Maxey and with VJ and with PG. Like maybe that's not a surprise, but it's like, the Magic had their full roster. Like they should have won that game. It felt like if at least on paper, it just felt like they weren't even close. So in a way too, like, I mean, people were planning the Magic's funeral. I mean, there were Mosley questions about whether he was going to get fired. Yep. People were getting the Paulo articles ready. And so for the Magic, I think for them to be able to save face there, so soundly beat Charlotte, and now I mean we'll talk the Detroit series here in a little bit, but like that series is 1-1 right now, so like there's some life, there's very much some life there still.
Yeah, I mean you go back and you look at the box score, LaMelo shot 37% from three. He was 3 for 8 in that game against the Magic, but Knuppel was 16% from three. Colby White played 16 minutes, was 1 for 5 field goal attempts. Like they clamped down, they really clamped down. I think the team overall shot the Hornets shot a 33% field goal percentage in that game compared to the Magic, who shot 50% and almost 30% from three. So like they clamped it down and really showed that they have that experience and probably a little bit of heard what people were saying and wanted to, put an end to that conversation.
Well, and I give them credit for doing that because again, that they looked like the bags are packed.
Yeah.
Like that 7-8 game was alarming to me if I'm an Orlando fan, and then to come out and win the play-in game, get into the tournament, and be competitive so far. Like you start to have again. I'm not jumping off the Detroit ship yet. I still think Detroit is going to win this series. But like, if you're able to make this competitive, maybe not where you wanted to be, but at least I'm not like hitting every panic button in the world like I would have. I mean, they go out in the play-in game. It's an unmitigated disaster for Orlando. And I think they've already underachieved a little bit, but you can at least take some positives at the end of the season too, compared to like using the play-in. We're like pretty close to like worst case scenario.
Two things before we move too much further past it. It is worth mentioning the Hornets, from the Hornets side of things, they were 44-38 on the season. Dude, 46 wins is 6th in the East. So like they were right there. You know what I mean? Like they were right there to having their own playoff spot. It was so tight, and that's just how things work out. Secondly, I would like to go back to the beginning of the season where I said the 76ers would have a better record than the Orlando Magic, and I understand it was tied, but we had the tiebreaker, so I win by default. And I told Chase that the other day.
There you go. Hey, I'm whatever it takes, I guess.
I'm gonna hold on to that. So yeah, I mean, in the East, I think other than really the Heat, everybody else, the vibes are, and 76ers are in their own little category, but the vibes are pretty positive on everybody else, Hornet, Magic. So that's kind of where at least the play-in tournament leaves those teams, in my opinion.
So let's go out west for the play-in here real quick. Just to recap, the Warriors winning the 9-10 game over the Clippers. The Trailblazers winning against the Suns in the 7-8 games, so they slot into 2 against San Antonio.
Yeah,
and the Suns taking down the Warriors in the second play-in game. They, of course, slide into the 8th slot against the Thunder then. I mean, the disappointment tier for me here, like the Warriors aren't healthy. So I think overall you're disappointed because I think had they had Jimmy, there would have been higher expectations. And I don't think this roster ever got off the ground. But Steph kind of showed out a little bit against the Clippers. You get a little juice back into that. I think, showed some life there. But I mean, the Clippers definitely disappointing. I know they kind of had a weird season, moving on from Harden, but it's still at the end of the day, like given where they were at the beginning of the season to fight back in, to it feels like post Darius Garland trade start to make some positive momentum. Like I feel like they're a little disappointed not getting in, especially, losing to, again, a Warriors team that was so depleted. I feel like there's definitely a lot there. For Phoenix and the Trailblazers, obviously these are two teams that, going into the season, I don't think many people would have had pegged here. Phoenix post Kevin Durant still being competitive, getting into a playoff spot like that. For Portland too, I mean, let's recap Portland's season. Their head coach got arrested at the beginning of the season, so already you got plenty of discourse there. You bring Dame back, but Dame is not going to play. But really give them a lot of credit. I mean, the big story is obviously the Denny Abda breakout and what a shrewd move that's been for them already, peeling him away from the Wizards. But, there's a lot of, give Drew Holiday a lot of credit, providing some veteran leadership there. Give Thiago Splitter a lot of credit, steadying the ship. And Portland was really good defensively in the second half of the season, like one of the better teams in the league. And I think, and look, I'll be the first to admit that, like, we probably haven't talked about the Portland Trailblazers as much as plenty of other teams this season on this podcast.
Dude, when I saw them in the playoffs, I was like, what?
Well, they were always around 10. Well, they were always around 10, right? Like you knew they were above that line where they weren't going to be out. Like they played well enough to be in, but like I think the rise for people and now to see them in a 7 spot, and not just in a 7 spot, like we'll talk about that series, but like again, a much more competitive series than I think most people would have pegged between San Antonio and Portland going into that. Obviously, a little bit of a factor there with Victor Wembanyama, but again, we'll get into that all in a little bit. But yeah, I give Portland a lot of credit, and for an organization like with some of these younger guys, like this is their first true taste of playoff action, so I think that's important too, like getting them back in, and being able to see what the roster needs to get to the next steps. Like their Portland is they're for sure on the much happier meter of where we stand with these playing teams right like now. Like there's no despair there. I don't think there's any with Phoenix quite yet as well. You know,
I also wonder your thoughts on Scoot, because it's his third year now, right? With Portland, and obviously at least in the game against the Suns was not great. And so like I don't know, maybe we could do a whole offseason deep dive on some of these year 3, year 4 guys, but I would be interested to hear, at least from a Portland Trailblazers fan, throughout the season. It is his first season being a positive plus minus, so there's some positives there, but has he, I guess, delivered up to the hype that they wanted? I don't know.
No, I don't. I mean, so far, I don't think he. And again, granted, a huge caveat that he's still 21 years old. Like, yes. I think that really, like, he's very young. He came into the league at 19.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't probably been that top guy that they would have hoped for so far. He's shown a lot of flashes, though. And I mean, look, he was their leading scorer for the season. That does matter. Like you said, was positive for the first time.
Yep.
And on a team that, we just talked about how good their defense was in the back half. Like he showed he can be a part of that. I mean, it's a weird cast of characters they've got here that they make work, right? Like it's a lot of guys that have been good in other places that maybe you forgot about because they're not there like anymore. Like, you think about like Rob Williams, who's excellent in Boston. I know he's dealt with some injuries, but he's looked like himself again. Matisse Thybulle has been a huge part of that defensive end. Jeremy Grant, right? Like, so I mean, definitely an interesting roster here, but yeah, with Scoot, I mean, you hope the shooting numbers, like going back to him, improve a little bit. Like he's still shooting just 35% from beyond the arc. His effective field goal percentage, though, is at a high. His things like his free throw percentage are at a high this season. I'm just going to his advanced. Yeah, I mean, like, right. His box plus minus still leaves a little bit to be desired because he's pretty inefficient offensively right now. I mean, minus 1.7 OBPM is not great. The defense is better. Defense is still negative, but it's a little bit better. Again, he's still 21 years old, so I'm not fully ready to hit the panic button here yet.
Well, and obviously missed a ton of games with the hamstring, before coming back. I think it's only 30 games this season, so like it is
sample size.
Yeah. So, that's a big part of it too. About half of what you normally see out of him. He was 62 games his rookie year, 66 the year after that. So, see where it goes. But yeah, I just, when I saw his name on the roster, I was like, I wonder where people feel about him. Obviously, he was the third pick in the 2023 draft. So, it's like that comes with some expectations.
He also probably got boxed into being the Dame replacement, which was unfair, of course. Like they kind of drafted him, and that was the sign that, like, hey, we're moving on here a little bit. And so I think that maybe, that certainly factored in.
That with the high pick comes with some expectations. Now, when you got a guy who can drop 41 in a game, in the playoffs, that helps cover some of that too,
For sure. And maybe you hope that turns the corner again with him still being so young. Like these aren't habits that he can't work his way out of. Like, I think, I guess I'm not selling my stock yet, I guess is the greater point of this.
Yep. I agree with that. I can get behind
hopefully even after a month off, you're not selling your stock here on the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host, Justin Cousart.
From 2008 to 2010, the Kobe Paul Lakers faced a 50-plus win team in every playoff series except for the 2009 Jazz, who were 48-34. And in that time, they made 3 straight finals and won 2 championships.
That feels right. It really does. And I mean, even the one that, I mean, not take away from Kobe and Powell, but like the one that we always talk about the year after, then in 2011, you talk about Dirk's run and the juggernauts that he had to go through to win
Yep.
that title, including Kobe and Powell in the second round.
Yep.
I mean, who did?
This I was going to say they actually broke down the games here. So 2008 was 52-3 Nuggets, then 54-28 Jazz, then 56-26 Spurs, and then 66-16 Celtics. 2009 was 48-34 Jazz, then to the 53-29 Rockets, then to the Nuggets who were 54-28, then to the Magic who were 59-23. 2010 was 50-32 Thunder, 53-29 Jazz, 54-28 Suns, and then 50-32 Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds right. The Celtics, I mean, that's Kobe. That last one is Kobe's, like, I feel like marquee legacy championship.
Yeah.
Getting the first one without Shaq against Orlando was huge, but like avenging that '08 Boston loss, I think is like really the Kobe, like that's the ultimate like legacy boost there. When you look at like the elite players and what championship like really puts them in that pantheon, like that to me is the one.
Well, and I go back and I'm guessing some of these were obviously eighth seeds, depending on where the Lakers were. And that's crazy to think that you got a 50-win eighth seed. Like if it's the Nuggets or Thunder, like holy moly, dude.
Western Conference, man. No way around it, especially back then.
I bet back then they would have been easily the fourth or fifth best team in the East, no doubt. So yeah, that's crazy. So
yeah, definitely. It's certainly skewed west for a long time. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's evening out a little bit more. I mean, obviously in the play-in tournament, the teams with the worst records were actually, I think, probably the Warriors, right? The 37 wins.
Yeah, Warriors. Yeah. Warriors at 37. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, and then even the Hornets and Heat were 44 and 43 wins. Clippers were at 42. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the lower win tier teams getting into the play-ins, that actually was in the West this year, which probably doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and I mean, in my opinion, the top dogs are still in the West this year. But it's certainly more even than it's been in a long time. I mean, I think
before we get into the first round stuff, I would be curious to name your top, let's say 5 in the NBA this year.
In terms of like who I think can win the championship the most.
Sure, but everybody in the playoffs, like I'm more or less interested to see how many of them are West Coast compared to East.
It's probably 3 West, 2 East. I don't think it's super skewed that much. I mean, I think there's a gap. So like OKC to me is still the best team.
Sure.
I think San Antonio is a clear 2 if Wemby's healthy.
Yeah.
And then it's like Boston and Detroit are right there for me. I have more. I don't know. They're weird. They're both weird though. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like Detroit, that was a weird first game stumble. I'm a tiny bit worried about JB Bickerstaff in the playoffs. The Celtics, again, getting Tatum back, they should have that gear to be the top dog in the East, and to me, arguably maybe behind anybody other than OKC. Also, and this is something we'll get into, like, I don't know what it is with the Celtics, but like they shouldn't, that Celtics Sixers series should not be as close as it is. And that's the one thing that keeps throwing me off too. Like, and give credit to the Sixers guys, like, but Embiid's not playing. Like game 3, it was legitimately close last night. Like, if anything, I think you're more frustrated as a Sixers fan because you go, hey, if Embiid was playing, all of a sudden this looks winnable. I agree. But I think they have that other gear with Tatum back.
Well, and from the Sixers side, that goes into a whole nother thing with the appendix stuff with Embiid. It's like, dude, like we're just actually a cursed team. Like,
no, for sure. They're 100%. It was the most Embiid thing of all time for his appendix to blow. And it was before, like, literally the game that would have got them. They needed to beat the Rockets to get out of play-in position. And they would have been playing, they'd probably been playing the Knicks in the first round, which, again, we'll talk about that. But I'd have much rather had the Knicks than the Celtics.
Clearly, especially now. And honestly, knowing Tatum's back, I probably still would think that. Yeah. Now, obviously, we got to talk about the Knicks, and that'll be probably a big portion of the podcast, I feel like.
To your question, though, that 5th spot is tough. Because I don't think it's I don't think it's the Knicks. I don't think it's the Cavs. I'm probably leaning The
Nuggets
winner of
Lakers.
No, I'm leaning the winner of Timberwolves Nuggets. Like, I only because the Lakers, if they get healthy, it's a different story. But it's like you
Yeah.
don't have Luca right now. You don't
Yeah.
got Reeves for another few weeks minimum.
But I guess
Um,
that's my thing is like you don't have Luca right now, yet you're still three, against the Rockets. I understand Durant's out, but
oh no,
like,
we're gonna slander the Rockets later. Don't worry. I am very much going to slander the
yeah,
Rockets later. I mean, Ime Udoka already kind of slandered them already post game, but
he
like,
didn't
yeah,
hold back. I was like, oh my, sir, let's
we got
calm
we
down a
got
little bit.
we have a lot to talk about, which we will get into here in a
Yeah.
second. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. I'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we're on YouTube. Just search Drive and Dish NBA Podcasts, and you can find us there. Obviously, if you leave a comment, we'll be happy to bring it up on the show, good or bad. Just like the reviews that we get, we're happy to oblige and go down that rabbit hole for you.
Exactly. And now a word from our sponsors.
So I guess let's start in the East. And I guess we'll just start from the top down. We'll start Pistons Magic.
Yep.
Series is tied 1-1. I think that does surprise probably some people that were thinking the Pistons were like just gonna take it away. Neither team, at least from my opinion, has really looked title worthy. The shooting from the 3-point line for both teams has been pretty rough. It's worth noting Orlando doesn't play great in the Kia Center, which is kind of funny because most teams play better at home, but Orlando has some stats that would kind of counter that argument. And then you go to game 2, probably the third quarter, I think it was, where they got outscored 30-3.
That was the game. Like, it was simple. That was the game, right?
That might be the series, dude. That might be like, holy moly. Do you like? That is a momentum killer, especially after winning game 1.
It's definitely a momentum killer. I don't think the momentum is killed, though, because at the end of the day, like, you did what you needed to do. Detroit was desperate. They had to win that game. Like, Detroit cannot go to Orlando down 2-0, especially in the first game. Like, there was a pretty convincing win by Orlando, winning that game 112-101. And I think what was alarming for Detroit is that you got a monster game out of Cade Cunningham in that first game. Like, he was everything and then some. It was the supporting cast that didn't show up. That's going to be the question about Detroit in the series. We know how brilliant Cade is. It's going to be the other guys, and it got a little more balanced in the second half. You got a big 16 out of Tobias, you got 11 out of Duran and out of Osar, you got 10 out of Duncan Robinson, 10 out of Isaiah Stewart off the bench. Like, it's gonna be those guys. Like, it's gonna need to be those guys, not just Cade, who step up and who were able to get you over the top and win the game there. I think the 3-point percentage, you're right, has been just horrible so far for both sides, and in a way, I weirdly feel all right about that if I'm Orlando. Like, Desmond Bane, who has been arguably their best player so far in these playoffs, hasn't been able to hit the broadside of a barn. Like, at some point, you're going to think that comes back to earth and that he starts making his shots. Like, I think Jalen Suggs has looked good at points but more importantly, Paulo just looks more engaged. Like, he doesn't look like, during the season, he would go through lapses where it felt like he just wasn't as involved. It felt like for a player that is supposed to be as good as he is, it felt like he was too uninvolved in the games for large portions of them. And so I think it's good to see him be active here a little bit more. It feels like his game is rising, which they need out of him big time. I mean, Orlando basically right. In that third quarter, they had a disaster class from everybody. And overall, like, it just wasn't. I mean, Franz had a pretty rough game, really inefficient, only 4 for 11 from the field. Wendell Carter Jr. gave them basically nothing. They got nothing off the bench. Like, that, it's just that's the stuff that's going to cost you. Like, for Orlando, to me, it's all about coming back in game 3. Like, if Orlando wins game 3, the pressure goes back on Detroit. Like, you're an 8 seed right now. Nobody really expects you to win this series. I think you can't afford to get run out of the gym. If Detroit, to me, if they want to like really put their stamp on the series, they need a thorough game 3 win. Like, snuff this hope out real quick. Maybe like you said, that urgency started going into the second half of game 2. They certainly needed it. They need that to carry over.
Which is worth mentioning, as of anybody probably listening to this podcast, game 3 will have already happened. It's supposed to happen today at 1:00. So Yeah, man, it's gonna be rough. I think who is more of a need to win? Would you still say it's on the Pistons? You need to win this game, if even if Orlando wins it, but it's like a close game. Everybody performs pretty well. That still, like you're saying, puts the pressure back on the Pistons.
No, I think Orlando needs to win it because I think the Pistons can withstand punches better. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
I still think the Pistons are the better team in this series. Like if they lose tonight, I still have faith in them to go back, win a game four, and then
that's
suddenly
fair.
you got three games or you got a best of three with two of them in Detroit. Like, yeah, I think the pressure shifts a little bit, but like if you're gonna pull this upset, I mean, minimum you have to win one of these games in Orlando, but I think you win game three, you do start to put them more on the ropes a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're one game away from making it get real weird real fast in Orlando. So I think winning game three is more crucial to Orlando.
I can get behind that. It'll be a good one to watch. Some nice Saturday basketball for us.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so another one that's going to go down, or I guess a game. This will be game 4. Will go down on Sunday. The Cavs Raptors, which I don't know. Maybe you're surprised, maybe you're not. I was a little surprised to see Cleveland leading this only by 1, currently 2-1 in the series. The Cavs won the first game 126 to 113. The Cavs won game 2 105 to 115, and then the Raptors came out in the last game winning 126 to 104. Does it feel like that was like a final, like, give it your all push on the Raptors side to not go down 3-0 essentially? Is that the only win we'll see from the Raptors in this series?
I mean, yes to the first portion for sure. I mean, the Raptors had to win that game. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We're not winning 3-0. Like they're not coming
Yeah.
back at 3-0. Cleveland is clearly the better team here. Like Toronto has been one of the surprises, one of the darlings
Of
of the
course.
league this season in terms of like, yeah, give them a lot of credit. Nobody really expected them to be here. They've been
Mhm.
in the mix all season long, and I think their scrappiness showed again with the fact that they didn't end up, with a chance to go down 3-0, you defended your home court. I think it goes without saying you got to win game 4. Like if you want any chance of winning this game series,
Yep.
of winning the series, it's got to go back 2-2. You can't go back down 3-1 to Cleveland. Again, for as much as I've harped on this Cleveland core over the course of the entire season of this podcast, Cleveland is better than Toronto. Like they should win this
Well,
series pretty handedly.
the one stat to take from that game 3, if you really want it, is the Raptors as a team were 14 for 23 from 3. That is a 60.9%. Like, that's not going to happen again. RJ Barrett was 6 for 8 from 3. Scotty Barnes 3 for 5. Let's see if I think that's everybody that kind of was shooting. Uh, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's at least the worth mentioning. Like, they shot lights out from 3. And if that even comes back to average, that gets the game a lot closer. And then, like you're saying, we probably trust the Cavs to close it out a little bit more.
Yeah, and right. I think that's a good point. Is that such a hot streak probably will come back to average. I mean, look, the Cavs have just looked more energized post Harden too. Like that offense has been more in flow. We'll see how they do once they get the winner of Detroit Orlando. But I mean, look, they're in a position where they could rewrite the book on this core here real quickly because I would pick Detroit in a hypothetical Detroit Cleveland series. I know that's really getting ahead of ourselves right now,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's not like it's not like I'm running away with that pick either. Like that's still a very winnable series for Cleveland. So again, it's like, look, we're here. Like this is kind of what I've talked about. It's like it's time to put up with this core. I like shaking it up with Harden a little bit. I'm interested to see where they go. Like it feels like there's a little more intrigue around them this go around. But they better beat the Raptors. They should.
The other thing that would have been a potential, shot to the offense, shot to the vibes around Toronto would have been quickly. He was trying to come back from that right hamstring, but re-aggravated it. So that news has come out saying that he won't be available for the first round playoff series, averaging 14 points, almost 6 assists, 4 rebounds in 70 games. And I think he had at least 20 points in 20 games. 8 double-doubles this season. So, like, he definitely would have been a good pump to the vibes in Toronto, but obviously won't have them for this round. And we'll see if they get out of this round, then maybe that's a different story. We could have that conversation, but got to get past the Cavs first. So,
yeah. They listen, they get out of that round. Man,
that would be, you want to talk about who would have worse vibes? Actually, I already know the answer, but I'll still ask it anyway. Who would have worse vibes? The Cavs losing to the Raptors or the Knicks losing to the Hawks?
The Knicks, for sure.
Yeah.
The Knicks, 100%. Cavs should have it too. They both will be terrible and near the bottom. But the Knicks vibes if they lose the Hawks are going to be a train wreck.
Right. And if you're the Cavs and you lose to the Raptors after going out and getting Harden, like that, vibes will not be good at all in Cleveland. Yeah. But agreed, to that next matchup, Atlanta leads the Knicks 2-1. And CJ McCollum is him. Like, that's just all you have to say. Like, he embraced it. He came in to fit the Trae Young role and probably is doing it better than Trae Young was doing it. So it's just they're just cooking right now, man.
The Hawks team has been, and I mean, second half post Trae Young, they finally hit the switch. Yeah. And really, this has been, you want to talk about most dangerous teams in the Eastern Conference, like Atlanta is right there to be with anybody. Yeah. Their identity is better now. Jalen Johnson is a star. He's been that. Like you said, CJ McCollum left for dead in Washington has given them a huge spark. And know who else I give a lot of credit to and for Atlanta for going out and getting? Jonathan Kuminga. Yep. Our boy said, bet on me. He said in Golden State, listen, it was them a little bit. There was a lot of back and forth, and we said, this is the time now. You got an opportunity to step up.
It's now. Mm-hmm.
It's now, and he has so far. So, I'm real high on this Atlanta core. And, look, maybe this shouldn't have been as surprising as we thought, because if we want to, for Atlanta trending in the right direction, the Knicks have been trending down the entire last third half of the season. Post All-Star break, I don't think the Knicks beat anybody over 500. At some point, I just don't think this Knicks team is very good. They never hit the gear that they needed to this season. But what's more, they're going to start to have the existential discussions this season, and that's where I think it'll get interesting. Is where it's it does look a little alarming when CJ McCollum is frying Jalen Brunson on every single defensive possession, and you do start to wonder then where it's hey, as brilliant as Brunson is, that does matter. He does have very clear defensive limitations. That is going to catch up to you at some point. Obviously, there's always going to be the Towns dialogue. Knicks fans are extra down in the dumps about Mikal Bridges right now. I think that's the other thing too. Is hey, we gave up 5 first-rounders for this guy, and we're just, they don't look anything like the best team in the East right now. Going into the season, this was supposed to be in a pretty weak Eastern Conference with Boston theoretically down, with the Knicks having beat Detroit last year, again with Cleveland and all their question marks. This was supposed to be the year, and now they are very much staring down the barrel of a first-round exit to Atlanta that may not really be surprising to anyone who watched the last third of the season.
Yeah, it's the Knicks, and this is where it'll go. The Knicks will have to have a real deep conversation about Jalen Brunson. And we're already hearing, I saw Stephen A. Smith talking about it the other day, is he is small compared to other NBA players. And that gives him a situation in late games, like we saw in Game 3, where, it is hard to create a shot when you're 6'1". I get it. But does that mean to the conversation that's happening, at his size, can't be the number one guy on the team that's going to go win a championship? That's a conversation that is going to maybe happen this offseason if they don't get past the Hawks.
Yeah, I think it's already started.
It has. It's everywhere.
And it's crazy because, again, Brunson has never really been the target of anything in New York. He's been the centerpiece of all this. And I don't want to undersell here real quick. I don't want to totally throw the book at Jalen Brunson either, but I think it's more about what this roster looks like. And it's you start to bring in, that's what's crazy is the Knicks have all these defensive oriented guys, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and they're just getting torched. That's to me is as existential as anything. Is it's not just Jalen Brunson getting beat on the defensive end. It's all of them.
No, but he'll get a lot of the blame, especially in the last game when you go 0 for 5 from 3. That's a big part of it's like, yo, you did that and then you shot 47% field goal percentage. You went 11 for 23 there. Like that's where some of that concern I think is going to start popping up. Um, Still obviously in his own right dropped 26 points. Like that's good amount of points for his team and what you want Jalen Brunson to do, but it got to be a little more effective and got to make the shot when it really counts at the end of the day. And that's the part that's not happening now. And like you said, these guys are getting torched, so people are going to start questioning everything, and that's where we're on.
But what I think is even more notable is I don't think the Knicks' reaction from the fans has been as like extreme as you would think it would be. I actually think Knicks fans are pretty balanced and kind of like I feel like they expected this to a sense too, in where Atlanta again it's a bad matchup for them because you're right. If I think they were playing like Toronto, for example, I'd still think the Knicks would edge this out. You're playing like Atlanta is much better than your traditional 6 seed. I to me, like I said, they're me the 2, 3 in the East right now. Like I think they're that quality. I mean, yeah, the Knicks have to win game 4. I think that goes without saying. Like you're down 3-1. I mean, I know you got 2 of the last 3 potential games in New York, but like you're on the ropes there. And I don't know. Again, given just the fact that you look at that schedule and they didn't beat anybody good. Like at some point when it like what it is post All-Star break when it starts to ramp up here a little bit. And since it's really ramped up, they just haven't been winning. And that to me is as telling as anything.
What are your thoughts looking back now? And maybe it's too early to do anything, but they're down 2-1 in the playoffs in the first round. Notably, maybe not surprising, but we'll say surprising coaching change last season from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown. Is that looking like a mistake now?
I don't know if I'm not ready to be there yet.
Tom at some point, in the same situation, you think?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's the thing. It's like at some point when the book is out on this core, like there's only so much coaching you can do.
I agree. It'll be so. Do you think Mike, if they lose in the first round,
that would feel reactionary, but I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't definitely not rule it out given their expectations.
Yeah. That would be, I guess what they changed Mike Miller. They changed him in 1 year in 2020, I think, to get Tom, if I remember that correct. So 1 year coach. That would be kind of surprising, especially for a team that's, a top 3 team in the East to go through 2 coaching changes in 2 years.
No, it would be super. And I mean, Tibbs was there for a little bit, but like,
5 years,
it would be super years. Unexpected for everybody. But I mean, that's the weight of expectations, unfortunately.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to revisit this conversation after this series ends, which I guess the earliest it could end is game 5, which would be Tuesday, April 28th.
They lose in 5, they're packing that corner.
Oh, yeah. If they lose in game 5, obviously, game 7 all the way to May 2nd at that point. But yeah, if it ends after game 5, it's going to be real bad. Real bad vibes in New York, so.
There will be many discussions to be had, but all right. Last series in the East, of course, the Celtics and the Sixers. The Celtics are up 2-1, 106-100 win last night. The Sixers winning game 2 behind VJ Edgecombe and Maxey just going absolutely crazy. The VJ Max stock at an all-time high. Celtics pretty convincingly winning game 1. And I mean, look, the Celtics, if Embiid is not playing, which so far he's not in these first 3 games, like it's pretty clear who the favorite is in this team. Like Boston is just a lot better. Yeah. I just I don't get these weird stretches that Boston go on again, where like even last night, like that game was much, much closer. Like it took some late shots down the stretch for Boston to win that game. Like Peyton Pritchard was huge down the stretch. Tatum hit a clutch 3 to ice it. I just, for a team that, and this core has done this over the years. That's the thing. And clearly they've had success winning a championship, being in the finals a few years ago against the Warriors. It's just odd that like every time where it's like ready to be like, all right, Boston this, Boston that, like, they are much better than the Sixers team without Embiid, and they're not really acting like it right now. And that's where I'm just like, and I'm not selling my stock here with Boston. I still think they're probably the best team in the East. But like, this is the stuff where I'm like, Are they? And like, I hope they know they can't do this against OKC if they get that far. So
Yeah, and in that last game, VJ being held to 10 points is not great. 0 for 7 from 3, so the shooting wasn't there at least in that end. So, it starts the conversation of like obviously the VJ Maxi thing's great, but it's like, they got to get some more help in the scoring side of things. Obviously, Paul George putting in 18 points, actually shot 57 from 3. Kelly Oubre shooting was off from the 3-point percentage standpoint, but it's like, yo, you got Maxi out here shooting 13 threes. Like,
Maxi levitated in game 3, dude. No, listen, Maxi was different though. I'm telling
yeah,
you, he
I
was like
know.
that kid is he's special. He's
He
an
is.
absolute star.
He is, but you got to get him help, man. Like, you got to help this guy out.
I mean,
Like,
I agree, but I mean, I look at management for that. Like, maybe you
yes.
shouldn't have traded Jared McCain in the middle of the season if you were going to try to win something. But hey, what do I know?
The back
Yeah,
half of this season just was, I mean, just it just felt like they were talking about him after every freaking game for OKC. But
don't get me started. I mean, Paul George has genuinely looked
yeah,
good since
he
coming
was
back from
fine. Yeah,
suspension. I think that's encouraging. Like he
he's been
legit,
fine.
like he
Yeah,
looks healthy, he looks active, he's been in the flow of the offense. His
he
percentages
played
are good.
41 minutes in game 3. Like
Yeah,
that's yeah.
and I mean, look, VJ is going to have the up and downs. Like that's what just comes with a rookie. Like he in the game
Yep.
2, he's the first rookie to have 30 and 10 in a game since Tim Duncan. Like
And then
that,
follows it up with a 10, yeah, 10
that
point. And well, no,
that's
it's not a double double. I think 10 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, those are the growing pains. Like it's going to be again without Embiid, and it's going to be interesting because they upgraded him to doubtful for Game 3. So maybe you get him for Game 4, and of course that would swing things. Like obviously you hope when it's a 6-point game without Embiid, like right, you slot him into those minutes, and maybe it does shift things a little bit.
yeah,
Like a healthy Sixers team kind of was the team that nobody wanted to play really because they do have a weird ceiling if everything clicks. It's just like how this goes. Like you think I'm gonna like it be expect to
no,
have them to click? Like Joel's appendix just blew up before the most meaningful regular game of the season. Like only
yeah.
Joel Embiid would have that happen. Like eh, what are you gonna do? Like at some point, I mean, the franchise is a mix of them making bad decisions, but like they're also just cursed. Like I don't know what you want me to tell you at this point. Like
Yeah,
eh, like it's not even a basketball injury at this point. Like, what are the chances? But of course it happens then.
but
It
of
couldn't happen
course,
any other time of the year. Of
yeah,
course it happens
but
then.
of course,
And
yeah.
knowing the Sixers, like it'll lead to Embiid like needing to get like a kidney harvested somewhere or something. Like, who knows, man? It's absolutely ridiculous. Boston should win this series though. Like
I
that's the if
agree.
Embiid is not playing, like Boston should win this series like pretty handedly. Like they're
But
no
honestly,
one.
if you're Boston, you let the Sixers win another game, like the vibe should feel kind of bad, especially if with Embiid not back. Like
Once
you
they're playing
should,
with their food, you're playing with
yeah,
your food, and
yeah,
it's some like
exactly.
that could burn you at some
Yeah,
point. Like
don't
I
do that.
still think the Celtics are going to win this series, but like I don't want to go back to 2-2. You don't want to give the Sixers belief, and
No.
again, potential that Joel is coming back and being able to give you anything.
The longer this series goes out, the more likely Embiid actually could come in a game 7 and really change it up. And yeah, that would be a whole nother. That would be pretty wild. My social media would be, though I've been negative about the Sixers, I'd be relentless that night.
Embiid coming back in a game 7 if he beats Boston would be the coolest thing that has happened to this franchise in literally like 25
since
years, I think.
since well no I would say since getting to go to the was it the when we at least had the opportunity to try to beat Kawhi and the Raptors.
Great. Yeah, cool. Sick. Love that. That's so fun.
All
All
right, so
right.
out west we got Thunder Suns, and honestly, though there's been a lot of talk about the refs and Dylan Brooks making comments and Booker making comments, and the games, at least at the end of the day, haven't really felt close. Game 1, OKC 119 to 84. Game 2, OKC 120 to 107. I mean, it's kind of what we expect from the Thunder. I feel like we don't need to go too deep on this game because, like, it's the Thunder. They're the number 1 team going up against, the 8th seed in the West, and that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's just it. Like again, hats off to Phoenix. They've had an incredible season, and like we'll do a. This sounds so rude, but like we'll do a post-mortem on them soon. And I think that again they deserve a lot of credit for being here. But yeah, I mean OKC, like it's business time for OKC. I think you have to be really happy with how they've handled this. I mean, you're gonna get the officiating complaints. And look, I again with SGA. I know we know what it is sometimes. There's definitely a little bit of foul baiting, foul merchanting, free throw merchant, if you will. So, yeah, of course they're going to bring the refs up because you want the refs to call it like that. Like you don't want there to be a friendly whistle. You want it to be a pretty like a not call game. Teams are always going to try to play that mental warfare. I think with the officials.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and Dylan Brooks, so I guess maybe probably not surprising, but leading the series and scoring for the team. Devin Booker obviously right there, and Jalen Green. So, yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. The OKC is the best team in the league, and that's what it comes down to here. And there's not much more to like say on that really, other than maybe some of the shooting percentages are down for OKC, but maybe that'll change when they're in the next round. So that's really it.
Yeah, Lakers Rockets, and so obviously probably the most dramatic game. I mean, the Rockets up 6 with under a minute left, and they end up losing that game in overtime. Just disastrous sequence. You foul Marcus Smart, he hits all 3 free throws. LeBron hits a super clutch 3 at the end of the game. Goes into overtime. Lakers end up winning that game up 3-0. Kevin Durant notably has not played in 2 of these games. In that context, super matters here, of course, given how KD was. But I mean, yeah, Udoka lit up that core last night. Like that was a must-win game, and you had it. Like you had it in the bag against the Lakers team, who, as we said, is at nowhere near full strength without Luka Doncic, without Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
You got 41-year-old LeBron out here just still painting an absolute masterpiece, getting this team to win. Hachimura great in game 3 as well, but yeah, I mean, to me, this is all about Houston right now. Like, there's no other way around that.
You're sure it's not about Luke Kennard absolutely lighting them up in game 1?
I mean, listen, somebody's got to step up for the boys, but
that was crazy. This is such like my degenerate self, so just indulge me here for a second. I was live betting this game, and when it started, I think Luke Kennard real early on made a 3, and the line for the rest of the game was Luke Kennard to make over 2.5 threes in the game and score 15, over under was at 15. So I parlayed it and said over and over on the threes. And then I fell asleep, and I woke up the next day and I was like, Luke Kennard's my guy. This dude went off. This is great.
Yeah.
I sent that to my buddy. He's like, you bet on Luke Kennard over? Like, who does that? And I was like, someone with a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the hotline is there, question mark.
It is. And Marcus Smart's been playing really well too. We should point that out. But
yeah. I mean, look, this Lakers team again could have folded here pretty quickly, and so I give them a lot of credit. Like, there's certainly a ceiling on this franchise or this team in particular, and I think that rung true in the back half of the year, and that was even before the injuries. Some of these meaningful games, but yeah, I mean, yeah, being up 3-0 against Houston, like Houston going into the season, this was a team who had very high expectations. I mean, we're talking championship level expectations, and you now find yourself a game away from elimination in the first round against a team that, more importantly, it's not like they're that much better than you. Like, this team is supposed to be able to hang with the Lakers minus their 2 best players. Like, if we want to talk about the despair ratings, yeah, Houston is going to be up there. There's some discussions to be had after the season.
It's also worth mentioning, so Luka's injury said expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, which theoretically could be around May 1st, where if the Rockets push this, could be game 6-ish. So, maybe there's a return for Luka, and then, to that, maybe he's back for a probably Thunder series in the semifinals. So there's still some potential on the Lakers side of things. You'd probably prefer the Thunder to take a little longer than a sweep. So, maybe the Suns can hook them up there and extend that thing a little bit longer. But that'll be something to watch, too, if the Lakers do end up pulling this off, which at this point feels like will probably happen.
Yeah, no, the Lakers are good here. We're not worried about that. All right, so moving down then, Denver and Minnesota. A little bit of an interesting one here. I mean, obviously, there's certainly a lot of juice in this one. You got Jokic and Anthony Edwards drawing a little bit after game 2. Minnesota a little feisty, up 2-1 right now. And for Denver, this is, again, a team with a lot of expectations, having retooled this core around Jokic a little bit. What's your tempo on this series after 3 games?
It feels like when it first started, I was like, after game one, my thought was, well, this is the Nuggets always feel like they have the Timberwolves number for whatever reason, at least in the playoffs. But then we saw like in game 2 and 3, like it really felt like Jokic was being kind of ineffective and vulnerable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I think it was game 2. He was like 14% from 3, 24 points on in the game, which it's worth mentioning. That feels pretty pedestrian for Jokic. And so like, if that's the formula, just make the other players on the team, the Aaron Gordon, who in that game only scored 8 points, the Jamal Murray, who did have 30, the Tim Hardaway, who had 16, make those guys beat you. Cameron Johnson, make those guys beat you. If that's the case, then you might, that's how that might be the formula here. And you got Ant going out, dropping 30, Julius Randle doing his thing. Like that's where I think you can win. And I think that's what they've found out in at least game 2 and 3. So it'll be interesting to see how Denver can kind of adjust to that, because a lot of their offense does run through Jokic, and I'll be interested to see how, they change it up, if at all, or they keep the course.
Yeah, I mean, give Gobert a lot of credit. I mean, you mentioned Jokic being uncomfortable. I think he has looked uncomfortable for portions of the series, and I think that's a lot due to Rudy. I think he's been motivated, and I think he's shown that. You mentioned Aaron Gordon too. I mean, again, just unfortunately dealing with injuries and missing the game 3. I mean, I think that's huge. Like, you want to talk about the success of this Nuggets team and a player that's been so important to any core, any ounce of that they've had here in the last few years. And I think Aaron Gordon is one of their. I mean, I don't want to say he's as important as Murray, but he kind of is in a different sort of way. Maybe not as much on the offensive end, but all the other things that he does well. So I think, that already put them in kind of a hole going into game 3. You hope he's going to be a little better for game 4, because, I mean, look, Denver needs to win this. Like 3-1, not the end of the world, but this core, or large portion of this core, have been in this situation before. Like, I expect to see them desperate in game 4, because, like, this is a team that, with the core retooled after the Porter trade, like I think they thought they were going to compete. Going out to Minnesota in the first round would be quite disappointing, especially to a team who, you said, a lot of playoff history there. Like there's some spice for pride's sake too. I don't think they want to go down.
And it's worth mentioning, from the Gobert side of things, in game 3, Jokic was held to 26% field goal percentage, 7 for 26. Right. 2 for 10 from 3. So 2 games in a row, Jokic struggling from 3, but the field goal in game 3 is pretty alarming. And so, it'll be interesting to see what they, kind of, I guess, try to do. I know they got Valanciunas, who didn't play coach's decision in game 3, but you go back to, April 10th, against OKC, he dropped a 23-point game. So like, and a 17 rebound game, I should say. So like, I don't know. I'm not saying flip him out, but maybe there's some, give him some help with Valanciunas or something. So it'd be interesting to see what they end up doing with Denver.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. All right. So last series, of course, we got Portland and San Antonio, which the big story here has been Victor Wembanyama, concussion in game 2.
That fall was rough. That looked rough.
Well, and just the natural reality is like, look, I had a buddy, shout out to my buddy Jerry at law school. This guy is 6'7", no joke, and no meme. Don't put the meme in there. I remember I met this guy at orientation, and one of the things that stuck with me is when he goes, it's kind of cool, but man, every time I fall down, it just hurts. From that high, I guess I never really thought about that, but so then obviously Wemby would do the opposite when he's that big. Obviously a nasty fall. But
it's worth mentioning game 3, like the Spurs came out and cooked.
No, and I think that's the biggest thing is like, look, Wemby is going to be fine long term, but you don't want to, again, what's the name of the game? You don't want to play with your food here a little bit. And a Portland team who already comes out and gets a win. And so you're already at 1-1. You're back on their floor. You know, you can. The Spurs again feel good in this series long term, but you don't want to really give them any hope to be able to win this game without Wemby. Now it's like, hey, even if you drop game 4, you know, your worst case scenario, you still feel like you can win 2 of these 3 games against Portland and that you're the better team. It's just about buying time. You know, Wemby was questionable for game 3, so hopefully there's not too much more time they need to buy. But
right, and I mean the scoring's coming from everyone with Castle, Harper, Fox, like Wemby when he's playing. Like you've got a good core of guys here that can score and are scoring. So like the ball is being spread around pretty well in terms of that, and so that is very hard to game plan for. And, you know, from a Trailblazers side of things, you think you get I don't want to say layup, but you think you get some help in Wemby being out, and then they just come out and torch you. So
yeah,
not a great look. Although I would say, at least going into this, I think the expectations were the Spurs probably going to win this and maybe even sweep it. So Blazers pulling out a win is huge to begin with. So
yeah, the Trailblazers are fully in house money territory right now. Like, I don't think there's anyone on God's green earth, including probably in Portland, who expects them to win this series, short of anything drastic happening. And Wemby being out certainly would be that drastic thing that could happen where you could get some life. But right, like the Spurs core is quite good. Like, there's a reason they were the 2 seed. Obviously, Victor was the biggest part of that, and congrats to Victor as well. First unanimous defensive player of the year. But that's not, we have a lot of awards to talk about. We can do that next episode. Shout out to Alexander Walker as well, win a most improved player. But right, like that core is not weak on its own. Like De'Aaron Fox has been here before. Like you said, Harper, number 2 pick. Like, it's good for him to get this experience right away. So they're going to compete no matter what.
You essentially got who is it? One, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 guys, including Wemby, so that are averaging like almost 14 points or more. Whereas Trailblazers are really top heavy with their main 3 scoring 18 or higher. The next would be Robert Williams at 11. So yeah, it's easier to game plan when you know who the scorers are. On the Spurs side of things, it feels like everybody can at least contribute right now. So
yeah. Well, 100%. But yeah, so we'll start to get some game 4s. And again, I think by the time next week, a lot of these series will be over. But, stay tuned for the rest of the first round. Obviously, a few good ones on tap. We'll see what these despair meters are looking like next week. But all right, shall we do some Immaculate Grid here quick before we get out of here?
Let's do it. I'm pulling it up.
Should we go? I haven't played it a little bit, so
should we go Wemby here? Just out of he just won it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should. It's probably going to be the top answer, but so real quick, again, you can always watch the Immaculate Grids on YouTube. Just search Driving Dish NBA podcast. For the podcast listeners, our columns from left to right this week are the Spurs, Hall of Fame, and 1 steal a game per season. Our rows from top to bottom, the Miami Heat, the Toronto Raptors, and Defensive Player of the Year. Wemby did just win Defensive Player of the Year, so that would be fitting for the Spurs here in the corner. We know the other usual suspects there, but yeah, I feel like we can give Wemby that credit.
Should we go? I think we should be trolls here, so hold on. Wemby, 23%. Okay, so hear me out. Defensive Player of the Year, Hall of Fame, Tim Duncan. Defensive Player of the Year, 1 steal per game, Kawhi. We go all Spurs.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, look, it definitely, I'm with it. Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, cool. Yeah, do Kawhi in the corner. I'm good with that.
Unless you think there'll be an issue with Raptors and we'll need Kawhi for up here.
No, I mean, Raptors and Spurs, the other side of that trade is with DeRozan, but at the bare minimum, we have a backup right there. Raptors Hall of Fame. I mean, you got Vince, you got Olajuwon, who's going to probably be sneaky high there because that was at the end of his career. No, we'll be good. We got a lot of options.
All right, so Tim here.
Yeah.
Might be.
He won DPOY. He won DPOY, right? There's that one. It's the one that you didn't win. It's the one award they didn't. We fell victims for it, and that's why
No way.
Yeah, he didn't win DPOY. David Robinson did. We got burned on this once before. He made all the old defensive teams.
I did it again. DPOY. All right, well, let's at least put Kawhi in the 1 steal.
Yeah, Kawhi will definitely work there.
That sucks. I'm so mad.
that burned us once way back. I even thought that's why you just heard me say as soon as you typed it in. I'm like, wait, I know. Win Defensive Player of the Year?
I should have hesitated as you said it, but all right. Well, we're past it. Too late now. All right. Do you want to do DeRozan on the other side of the Raptors Kawhi trade, or do you want to Wasn't there Keldon Johnson or no, point guard. Corey Joseph?
Yeah, Corey Joe does work there. Yeah, he does. He'd be low. He'd be lower than because the other guy I'm thinking of is Pirtle, but Pirtle's there now. Has been there recently. So no, we could do Corey Joseph. He'll be much lower.
Did Olenek ever? Olenek would work for Heat Spurs, right?
Did Olenek play for the Spurs?
Olenek, or am I? Yeah, right. Olenek was on this. No, yeah, Olenek's on the Spurs right now, isn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah, right. True.
Yeah. Raptors, Spurs. Who did we say? Corey Joseph.
Yeah, we knew Corey Joseph there. Corey Joseph did play for the whatever. We're already down one at this point. We're firing away. Okay, all right.
Dude.
Thank God.
You want to go Olenek Spurs?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, we can do Olenek for Spurs and Heat. He definitely works there. He would. Yeah, yes, he would have worked for Raptors as well.
13% is crazy. Yeah. I thought he was Raptors. All right, one steal. I feel like we could go Oladipo for Heat, one steal, and that'd probably be pretty low.
Whoa. You're right. I mean, he was there late.
Oh no. He didn't end up over there. Dragic probably would work too. Just
Dragic definitely. Yeah. Dragic
being a starter.
Work.
Wasn't Dragic on the Raptors at one point too?
He was. Yeah, actually. Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, we can do Oladipo for Miami in one steal a game. That's gonna be so random. Wow. He had to have had a steal though. He was playing real minutes, so that's my thing.
0.2%, dude.
Very nice.
Do we think Dragic played enough with the Raptors, if he was on the Raptors at all, to get a steal a game? Because honestly, we could go like Kyle Lowry and be fine.
Well, yeah, no, Lowry's the obvious one. I do think Dragic was on the Raptors.
Probably too.
If Dragic played on the Raptors, I feel like he had to have had a steal a game.
You want to go Dragic?
Yeah.
I'm like sort of confident he was on the team. It's just the steals I was worried about. Okay, 0.2 again. Wow. Let's go.
Nice. Very nice. No, yeah, he was on it. It was definitely not an on the team thing. It was the thing. I gotta pull up his stats now. Let me see. Score drive. Dude, he had one on the dot. Oh, Justin, wow. He played 5 games for Toronto in 2021, 2022. I thought he played a full season there. That's crazy.
I honestly thought he had a whole season.
No, right after Miami, he was in Toronto and in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I remember him going there. That's why I kind of knew he was on the team. I just thought it was a lot more than that. All right.
All right.
I mean, Hall of Fame. Who do you want to go with?
Miami, Alonzo Mourning, Dwayne Wade, Shaq. Now Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway might be the move, low key.
Tim Hardaway, I wouldn't have thought of. So that's a good one.
Yeah, Tim Hart. Not junior.
Not junior. Yeah, 6%. That's good.
Yeah, Tim just got in. I think he's the lowest out of that group. Toronto, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Olajuwon.
Bosh, did Bosh get in?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he definitely got in.
I don't know. I actually don't know, but
no,
Bosh,
I think I'm almost positive he got in.
Bosh would be one. Carter, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with whoever. I mean, I don't think we can really go wrong. Other than Bosh, I'm on the fence on for some reason.
No, let's do Bosh. I think Bosh is a good answer there. Olajuwon, because Olajuwon the nerds will put because he's late. Yeah. It was late stages.
His number? 11% for Bosh.
I'm like, well, we have one guest left. Oh, right. I'm like, what? I'm like, we got one to go. All right, yeah. So no, good. There we go. Yeah, 11%. I mean, they don't have too many, I don't think. So I think that'd be tough there. But yeah, let's show the summary here real quick. Let's see the most popular answers. Hold
on. No thanks. Maybe later.
Oh, that overtime. Yeah, that's crazy. Can't do that. Dude, what? Josh Richardson is the top answer for Heat and Spurs? Are you kidding me? Really?
There's a lot of how many? 36. That's actually not as high as I thought it would be. I
can't think of a ton, but there is no planet I would have thought Josh Richardson is the top guy there. Wow.
Steve Smith, Terry Porter, Kevin Willis, most recently.
I mean, yeah, I guess none of those are jumping off the page, really.
Shannon Brown. Yeah, no, not really. Patty.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not that much. Not
Huh.
big name wise, I guess I should say. If I could hold on, because apparently I can't do it with my screen sharing thing. There you go.
All right, so we got Josh Richardson, top answer for Heat and Spurs. Shaquille O'Neal for Heat Hall of Fame. Dwayne Wade for steal a game per season in the Heat. Kawhi Leonard for Raptors and Spurs. Vince Carter for Raptors Hall of Fame. Kyle Lowry for Raptors 1 steal a game per season. David Robinson for Spurs Defensive Player of the Year. Michael Jordan for Hall of Fame and Defensive Player of the Year. And Michael Jordan also for 1 steal a game and Defensive Player of the Year.
I bet Marcus Smart would have been really good for Defensive Player of the Year 1 steal.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he'd have been really
That
low
would have been really low.
Yeah, definitely. He's not in the eye as much anymore. I mean, I know we talked about him playing for the Lakers
there now, but yeah. I'm curious to see Dwight Howard, Kevin Garnett, Ben Wallace, Dikembe, Alonzo Mourning, Gary Payton, Dikembe, Jordan. Yeah, Sidney Moncrief. Okay, it's really not a ton of guys.
Sidney Moncrief's getting it, so that would have been crazy. All right, so we want to recap our answers one last time. Victor Wembanyama. Well, I guess I should start at the top. Kelly Olynyk for Heat and Spurs. Tim Hardaway for Heat and Hall of Fame. Victor Oladipo for Heat 1 steal a game per season. Corey Joseph for Raptors and Spurs. Chris Bosh, Raptors Hall of Fame. Goran Dragic, Raptors and 1 steal a game per season. Victor Wembanyama, Spurs Defensive Player of the Year. We missed the Defensive Player of the Year in Hall of Fame.
Dude.
Got too cute. Kawhi Leonard, Defensive Player of the Year.
I tried to get too fancy with it, dude. I tried to get too fancy with it.
Kawhi Leonard, Defensive Player of the Year, 1 steal a game per season. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Great to be back. Appreciate you guys, as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. Read them on the podcast. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we're on YouTube with the video version of the podcast, Drive and Dish NBA on YouTube. You can subscribe just like the podcast. Get notifications when new episodes are coming out.